Hello, you beautiful awakening souls. I am so honored to be here as part of your journey within. I am going to do a shadow reading for you today, Divine Feminine. We're going to take a look at what's going on with your Divine Masculine and, what's going on in their shadow world, right? What's going on beneath the surface? What's going on beneath the surface for both of you? It's not so much about what Divine Masculine's up to, but what you are perceiving Divine Masculine to be up to. So much of this journey, Divine Feminine, is about your perceptions and your fears rising to the surface and waking up to your true nature and recognizing that you are a creator. And if we're creating through fear, we may not like our creation. But we have to wake up from the illusion and recognize what it is that we're doing in order for us to be able to change what's happening in our life. So these shadow readings are wonderful for that because a big part of your journey within is discovering shadows and looking at them in order to bring them into the light of your consciousness so that you can diffuse them and replace them with new belief systems, new paradigms, new programming of your choice, and new patterns that you put out there, new frequencies that you put out there that are going to bring in a new experience for you in this world. And it's important. So let's take a look at what's going on. And what is it that's happening in your Divine Masculine's world that they need to accept? What does your Divine Masculine need to accept? All right, we have the Devil in reverse. So with the Devil in reverse, we've got a Divine Masculine that is going through some difficult things, but they're starting to get into a place of recovery from that. And so they need to accept some of the things that have happened to them, not accepting them like, okay, this is okay, this behavior is okay, either that they've projected out or that has been projected onto them. But they need to accept what it is and then learn lessons from it so that they can recover. So they're going into a recovery phase of whatever it is that they've been experiencing. They may have been in an abusive relationship. They may have grown up in an abusive environment. They may have even been abusive themselves, but are kind of waking up to these patterns that they've got that are not serving them well. You know, sometimes we've all done abusive things at some point in time in our life. Like, we've all made mistakes. It's where does that scale tip to the point where you become something that's labeled as an abuser, right? And sometimes that's also in the eye of the beholder. There's a lot of gray area and a lot of really fuzzy stuff that we have to untangle ourselves from when we're dealing with abuse, whether we've been the perpetrator of that abuse at times or whether we're the ones that have been perpetrated against. And oftentimes the people that are abusive that we encounter are people who've been abused themselves. Not always, though. Sometimes it's, it can be a lot of things. It can be mental illness. It can be experiences. It could be selfishness. It could be just choices that people make. But regardless of where that comes from, those kinds of actions in the long run do not serve us well. Even if there's short-term relief or gratification that comes from those behaviors, which is why they tempt us so much, they don't serve us well in the long run. The ripple effect that is caused by selfish and abusive behavior travels out long and far, and eventually comes back around through karma to teach us very difficult lessons. So your divine masculine has either experienced abuse in the past, has dished out some of it themselves, or a little bit of both. But they're waking up to how these patterns of behavior don't serve them well and where they've come from. If they've experienced abuse, but they're super loving and kind-hearted and empathetic and have developed, people pleaser tendencies, they're starting to realize how those tendencies that they have are not serving them well, how they're, kind of sometimes placing themselves in harm's way. But if some of that has come into their life to create them to put walls up that have caused them to be abusive toward others at times, they're also starting to see how those patterns don't serve them well. It doesn't help them to develop the kinds of relationships that they want and to have the kinds of connections and partnerships that they want. So they're really, really starting to learn and understand why and how all of this has come to pass in their life and what it is that they need to do about it in order to become the best version of themselves and in order to become, healthy and to be able to be the kind of partner that they want to be. So they're leaving behind a lot of old patterns that have come from a pretty tumultuous background. So they are accepting that and moving forward, which is wonderful. We all fall down at different points in time, but as Brent says, it's better to fall forward than it is to fall backward, and your divine masculine is definitely falling forward right now. What is it that they need to forgive? What does your divine masculine need to forgive? All right, so for this, we have 7 of coins in reverse. This just kind of jumped out, so let's see what it says here. They need to forgive themselves for maybe giving up too soon on certain parts of their life, on certain relationships, maybe in career choices, maybe the patterns that they have gotten from whatever these, difficult situations that they've faced have caused them to have low self-esteem and cause them to just not believe in themselves. And so they give up on things way too soon. So they need to forgive themselves for that. They've also experienced issues with, laziness and not having follow through, not being reliable. And so they need to forgive themselves for that. They've also there's also the possibility that this is something more where they need to forgive others for these kinds of behaviors. Maybe it's not them that has these behaviors, but it's other people that they've dealt with that do, and it's caused, some pain and some suffering for your divine masculine in the relationships that they've had with these people. So they need to forgive, that lack of follow through, that people are flawed and they are sometimes unreliable, and divine masculine is doing that for themselves. They need to forget. Forgiveness is for you, you guys. Forgiveness is for you. Your divine masculine needs to forgive, not because they condone the behavior of either themselves or for others that have done these things, but so that they can move on and not live in the patterns that create, distortion and difficulty in our lives. So, I learned that from Ramblin' Mike. Ramblin' Mike is one of my favorite tarot readers, and I used to listen to him a lot, especially when I was on my early parts of my journey. And so I do recommend him to you if you've never listened to him before. He is a great tarot reader, but he always said that, forgiveness is for you. It's not for them. Most of the time, people don't even know you've forgiven them. And it was a huge lesson to me when I really looked into that and the meaning behind that, and I love it. So what is it that your divine masculine needs to release? What do they need to release? We have 5 of Cups in reverse. Everything's showing up in reverse today, interestingly. So 5 of Cups in reverse. They need to release more toward forgiveness. Interesting that this card really goes along with that one right there, right? The reason why this is coming up in tandem with this one right here is in order for us to be able to really move on and, grow from our experiences, we need to let go of the past. And forgiveness is part of part of us letting go. Again, it's not condoning the behavior. A lot of times people think that, forgiving someone means that you condone what they did, or that you're, just, ignoring or, not holding them accountable. That's not the case at all. That's not what forgiveness is about. Forgiveness is so that you don't suffer from, anger, hatred, or bitterness. I tried to combine all 3 of those words at once. So it's something that your divine masculine needs to release and it really needs to let go of is anger, bitterness, vitriol, frustration, a need for vengeance, whatever it is, these negative, low vibrational energies that hold us back. They don't hurt others when they're directed toward them. They can to a certain degree, right? But mostly they hurt you, the one that's holding on to all this stuff. And so your divine masculine, they need to let go of these things in order to be able to properly grow and prosper. And, that clock is ticking for them, just like it is for all of us. We can waste time in these spaces of low vibration, or we can learn and alchemize and transcend them and evolve in our own journeys. We can use the negative things that happen to us for evolution. That's the purpose of them, right? 2 sides of the coin, but the coin is still valuable, regardless of what side lands up. So, what can your divine masculine learn? And now we have 10 of Cups in the upright here. We have 10 of Cups upright. So what can they learn? How to choose friends wisely and when to let go of those that are in our life that are holding us down or holding us back. Sometimes, we have to let people go because they're unwilling to move forward. They're unwilling to, work toward having a, healthy lifestyle themselves in order to be a healthy partner or a healthy friend. It is difficult sometimes for us to move away from relationships that are toxic because we've invested time, we've invested emotion and energy, and maybe we love this person and see the potential in them, but sometimes we have to let go because that's the right thing to do for us and for them. And that's not always a clear path. It can be very difficult for us to do that. But divine masculine is learning that sometimes loving someone is letting them go. And they're having to face a lot of the fears around that. This stuff right here that they've been going through is difficult. It's not an easy thing. Those parts of our lives are very, very hard for us to process and come to terms with. Sometimes these wounds that come from prior relationships and toxic relationships in our lives can go very, very deep, and we can have very, very deep hidden parts of ourselves that are unresolved and undealt with. We don't even know they exist anymore. And sometimes these patterns of behavior that have developed from this unhealed trauma, we don't even know what to attach it to. It's like hard for us to trace it back from where it even came from. And sometimes we can't at all, but that doesn't mean that the wounds can't still be healed. And oftentimes forgiveness is a big part of that. And also letting go is a big part of that process. So your divine masculine can learn from all of these things and heal from them through forgiveness and giving themselves some time to really self-reflect. Where is it that they can seek healing and, support in this process? We have Queen of Cups in reverse here. Okay, so what this is showing me is that they need to seek help from okay. It took me a second here to kind of feel what this card was showing me. They really need to seek help from within themselves, right? So this card right here is about not being smothering and being insecure and having like addictive tendencies. And so at first I'm thinking, well, how are they going to seek help from that? But then what I'm realizing is it's kind of the opposite of that. It's actually about avoiding those kinds of tendencies, the tendency to be codependent and seek help outside of ourselves. Our spiritual journey is absolutely about going within. It's the journey within, right? And your divine masculine is no different. They have to go through this process. And true guidance comes from within us, not outside of us. We can find information outside of us that's helpful, no doubt. But that helpful information is always going to point us back toward our inner discernment and being able to trust and rely on ourselves. We'll really tune into our intuition and be our own light. The light within you is the light that guides you, and it will never steer you the wrong way. But it's important to take time to self-reflect upon what that is, because it's not really taught to us. And oftentimes we can get our ego very confused with intuition. And so we really need to, intuition is, it's like an art, right? It's a part of you. It's tuning into that deep, quiet, silent part of yourself where true answers come from. People talk about this state, as like the flow state or nirvana or samadhi, but it's that inner part of you. It's that inner compass. It's the guiding light within you. And your divine masculine needs to turn to that place. That's what their journey is pointing them toward right now, is to not seek outside of themselves, right? I mean, seeking outside of yourself is okay as long as you're doing it from the perspective of discernment from within. And that has to happen first before we can really be able to properly interpret what comes to us from outside. All right, so where can they get help? Okay, so where can they, the other question was basically where the differentiation between these two. I should explain it to you because they almost seem like the same question. The other one is, where can they seek healing and recovery? So for them, healing and recovery is going to come from within. But where on the outside can they get help? Like what resources can they find in order to help them on this path? Because this is the journey within. This is the part of the journey for them where they need to go within. As it is for you, Divine Feminine. That's the purpose of you and your twin flame meeting. However, we still have this outside aspect of ourselves, right? As within, so without. And that's what you guys are learning. So where can they seek help outside of themselves to give them guidance within? And for this, we have 5 of coins. So this is showing me that all of the things that have happened to them, the difficult times, the difficult moments that they've experienced, have all been given strangely. I know it's strange to even think of it this way, but this is part of the evolution of the journey, is to recognize that the negative things that have happened to us can sometimes teach us very valuable lessons. And so to take hard times in our life and to be able to alchemize that or transmute that into something useful and positive is, that's the story of the alchemist, right? That's the philosopher's stone. It really truly is the journey within. And this card right here is showing me that in order for them to really be able to balance and find that harmony, that help, right, is going to come from them recognizing the lessons through reflecting upon who they truly are, what they've been through, and what it can teach them. Because they've experienced a lot of difficulty along their path, as we all have. I mean, none of us go through this life without experiencing some suffering, okay? Someone said to Brent once that we should always be kind to those around us because on some level we're all walking wounded. And there is so much truth in that. We are not the wounded aspect of ourselves at the core, which is how we find healing beyond that. But we do all have and have experienced suffering. It doesn't define us. It's not who we are. It's not our identity, but it is part of our experience here in the human realm. And so your divine masculine is absolutely going through, the fire right now in order to, rise up and kind of go through that sort of born again experience. This is at the bottom of the deck, and I just feel like it's worth noting. It's the Tower in reverse. So I think I don't usually do, bottom of the deck at the end, but I saw it sitting there and I just sort of felt like I should say something about it. So I'm going to, in case it resonates with anyone. Shadow work helps us to divert ourselves away from catastrophe, right? It helps us to shift our focus onto, I guess, the more positive side of things. We don't ignore the fact that the shadows in our lives have value, but, and so we integrate those shadows into our light. But shadows dissipate when they're brought into the light, right? And so, bring that light of awareness into your world, and your divine masculine is going to do the same, divine feminine. So let me give you your numerology number today. And we have 7, 61, 16, or 7. So there is your numerology number. And let's get you guys an oracle card. We're going to go with the Raven deck today. And if you guys have not already, please like and subscribe. It always helps us to get our videos out there. So if you enjoy them and you find value in them and you think others will too, please hit like and subscribe. It really, really does help us out a lot. Also, if you guys are interested in a one-on-one, if you guys would like some help to feel better, you would like to talk with others that are also on this path, some of which have been for quite a long time and have a massive amount of wisdom. The group calls are available and up for about another week and a half, and then we will be releasing our course soon. So we're super excited about that. So check us out at the-conduits.com, or you can get the information in the description box below. And check out our offers. All right, so come to rest, glide slowly down to earth, arrive, and let go. I think this is perfect for this reading today. It is exactly what Divine Masculine is being pointed toward, which is coming into their own, coming into that self-realization of their own divinity within, and letting that be the guiding light. And part of that is, you know, the letting go process and just allowing things to be, seeing the value in all things, including one's own self. So I like that. I hope you guys do too. Thanks so much for being here, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Take care.